The coolest part is just really every single time you get out there, that feeling that once again, this is the furthest I've ever made it. It's so cool and such a rewarding experience.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's Ashley. And if you tuned in last week, you know how excited I am for today's episode as we continue this conversation, going beyond the surface of our goals into endless discovery in the process. And today, my cousin Olivia is here with me to dive into it all, and I cannot wait. So, Olivia, hello. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to chat and so honored that you think my story is worth telling. So thank you. And just thank you for being a constant source of love and support in my life.
Oh my gosh, I love you so much. I miss you so much. 100%. Just truly, truly thankful for you in my life too. And so glad that we've become closer over these years for sure. And you've inspired me in ways more than you know. And excited to get into this conversation because, last week I talked a little bit about our race day experience together and how you were a part of helping me in ways on my journey, just a breakthrough with some old beliefs about myself and mindset towards goals. And so I'm just super thankful for that. And that's just the coolest thing, right? Like we really never know how we can impact each other and how we can be impacted by others. So I just want to kick off this conversation by asking you to share a little bit about your own fitness journey. So starting from when we were younger, because again, I think that will help put a lot of this into greater context and just emphasize just the possibility of progress and conquering some big goals that maybe, we never thought would be possible.
For sure. So as a child, I was generally active and picked up any and every sport and extracurricular activity. But when I was in high school, I had gotten really into music and was in a band. I joined my school choir, and I was also really involved in a youth group at a local church. So athletics just weren't really a priority for me. And if anything, growing up, I had been exposed to what I consider to be some toxic attitudes as it relates to athletics and success. So I just really wasn't drawn to sports. I did play lacrosse throughout high school, but again, it was really less of a passion and more of a social outlet. Throughout high school and even early on in college, the idea of fitness and staying active had absolutely one purpose for me, and that was weight loss. I'd occasionally walk on the treadmill or get on an elliptical, but it was always in an effort essentially to make my body smaller. Weight loss was a major priority for me through my teenage years. I started Weight Watchers for the first time when I was maybe 15 and really have always kind of been a yo-yo dieter, really just always eating too much or too little and always struggling with body image and finding balance. In college, I saw so many peers become super passionate about some sort of fitness outlet, whether it be running or cycling or yoga. And having only really exercised on an elliptical, I just felt like I hated exercise and fitness. It wasn't for me. And I just felt like everyone who claims they love working out is lying. I was a sophomore or a junior in college when I just really felt compelled to find a way to move my body that felt good. But again, at that time, the end goal was still always, will this help me lose weight? So that's kind of how I grew up. So when I was a sophomore or junior in college, I decided to sign up for a 7-day package at a local bar studio, the Barcode, near my apartment in Shadyside, Pittsburgh. And after my first class, I was truly on the verge of tears because I just felt betrayed by my body. Just how can I feel this weak and incapable? But I enjoyed it. And as challenging as I found it, I told myself I was going to stick with it, at least for a little. And it ended up becoming that thing I had been searching for. Something that I love about the environment there, especially, is that there's never messaging around, getting your bikini body or burning off the Halloween candy. It was always about getting stronger and feeling good physically and mentally. And at that point in my life, it was exactly the message that I needed. As the months progressed, I became stronger and even noticed some definition in my body that I'd never seen before. And for the very first time in my life, I valued my body for something other than its size.
I love that. First, just want to say thank you so much for sharing all that and kind of going into details there. We all have our own fitness journey and kind of like how we got started and certain things that maybe we struggle with or what it is that we think we need to, just kind of taking off those those limitations and those, negative beliefs about ourselves and body image. That's a huge thing. And so I just want to kind of go from there. You got into training to actually become an instructor.
Yeah. So I have been a client at the studio for, I don't know, maybe a half a year. I can't even quite remember now. But the manager there came up to me after class and asked me if I'd be interested in auditioning to become an instructor. I thought it was hysterical. Like, there's no way I could do that. I have no knowledge of this stuff. I'm a poor example. And frankly, I even questioned whether I could be a respected leader in an industry where my body does not represent most clients' goals. But I thought, what the heck, let's give it a go. And if I'm not into it, I don't have to stick with it. But fortunately, after a lot of training, it became one of the greatest privileges of my life to teach others what became so fundamental to my health and well-being. I unfortunately have since moved and got a new full-time job. So I no longer teach there, but I will just always reflect on that time in my life with the utmost fondness. I built so much confidence and felt more capable walking into new experiences and trying new things.
I think what's so cool is obviously, knowing you from the very beginning of life, essentially. I just want to say this. What I think is so cool is that, like, as we're getting older and everything, in the way that you've just stepped into this more and, just taking on like a new challenge in this way, and then being able to come in and take your class, that was amazing. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Just so awesome. So awesome. And I think it just kind of opens up that conversation more for thinking about the things that actually do hold us back. I think limiting beliefs, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, going to a gym for the first time, it's scary. Not even thinking about what your body looks like or how strong you are at any given point, just not totally knowing what you're walking into. It's definitely an intimidating experience. So it was an honor kind of getting to teach at the gym and try to break some of those barriers and just come into each class just with a really welcoming attitude. And again, that attitude that we're not here to become smaller, but here to just take a break from the hectic outside world and just focus on getting stronger and strengthening our minds as well.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what matters, I think, too. It's from the inside out. That's the biggest thing that I would love to just encourage people with. We can get so caught up in the numbers of things. That stuff messes with us. And it does. It carries over into all areas of life. And it's not just about, the aesthetics of things and, what somebody else may see on the outside. I think comparison plays a huge role in all of that. So it's like, how can we break down those walls that we put up around ourselves and for each other? Because I think whenever we can kind of break those walls down, it's like, that's whenever there's so much power in us and we can really encourage each other, inspire each other, lift each other up. And I think that's super, super powerful.
For sure. I totally agree. I think that just anyone living in this digital age is going to fall into comparison trap. In addition to obvious self-comparison to Instagram models and celebrities, I always found myself comparing my body to just those around me. In high school, I passed up social events if I knew there would be girls there who looked the way I wanted to look. To this day, if I'm at the gym and I could be running twice as fast as the woman beside me, but I might still feel inferior if her body aligns more closely with, what society has deemed a nice body. And I try to combat it as much as I can. I've tried it all. I try to surround myself with supportive people. I work for Aerie, and that's a brand that has stopped retouching models, and they use more diverse body types in their marketing materials. I surround myself with as much self-love content as I can. I do therapy. I've seen a nutritionist, and just the list goes on and on. But something that I think is super important, there are so many influencers on social media who have these extreme weight loss stories or these stories about how they got into fitness and started eating healthy, and now everything is better. And now they're happier and they feel better in their skin. And that's great. But sometimes I think that messaging communicates that you can turn on and off this light switch when in reality, no matter how often you exercise, how healthy you eat, how much weight you lose, or how muscular you can get, you're still going to have bad days. You're still going to feel self-conscious sometimes. It's still going to be difficult to make decisions and sometimes even identify what the best decision is. So just all we can really do is strive to find balance and give yourself grace in the process.
I love that so much. It's so true when you think about it, think, okay, well, I can just flip it on like that, or this can happen overnight. But what happens whenever, you try that? And then after a week or 2 weeks, something else comes up and you slip up a little bit. I feel like that can actually put you back in that place where you think, okay, now it's impossible. Well, no, just to your point, as you're saying, let's give ourselves a little bit of grace in that process in that and know that when we think about process, it's not a straight line. It's a little bit up, it's a little bit down, it's a little bit back, and it's a lot of bit forward. We're always moving forward, but it's not a straight line. It's not always going to be so easy. So I think, just be kind to ourselves and move forward in our journeys. So I would love to transition to our experience together running the half marathon at Disney because I talked about this last
Yay.
week. So much fun. Let's start with the inspiration.
Sure. I just really love trying new things and setting new and bigger goals within reason. And I also will do just about anything to plan a vacation. So knowing that you can run a half marathon at Disney World, I was like, if I'm going to run, I'm going to do it so I can go to Disney. So I reached out to you, my running mentor, and we decided to sign up together, which throughout the whole process, you could not have possibly been more supportive, always checking in on me, always cheering me on. And throughout the actual race day, sometimes literally running backwards to keep me moving. So again, thank you. But I just really wanted to try something new, and it just seemed like the perfect opportunity.
How often were you actually running before that?
Just about never. Not like,
So that's great. That's awesome. Because here's the thing, I think a lot of times, right, especially getting into running, people may say, oh, I can't even do 1 mile. You want me to run a 5K, or how am I supposed to do a 10K? I can barely do a 5K. And here you are,
yeah.
and you're a great example of somebody who, you're in the gym and you're active and you're moving. But then when you take it out to go out running, you're like, I haven't really ran much. And then you just crush this half marathon. So take us through a little bit of just the training process.
Yeah. So there's something really special about having done that experience for the first time. And at that point in my life, the longest I had ever ran was a 5K. So every weekend, even when it was cold and snowy and I didn't want to get outside, at the end of each run, I could say, this is the furthest I've ever moved my body, which was so cool. 4 miles and then 5 miles and eventually 10 miles all the way up to race day. I remember it was specifically my 6 mile run weekend. So I wasn't that far in during training and it didn't go well. I had to stop and walk. I was just feeling really discouraged and I thought, I'm just not going to be able to do this. But sure enough, I tried again the following weekend and just kept showing up. And little by little, we made it all the way. But the coolest part is just really every single time you get out there, that feeling that once again, this is the furthest I've ever made it. It's so cool and such a rewarding experience.
I love that you said the furthest I ever moved my body. And I think that's what's so important too, and such a key message here. You said just keep showing up just little by little. It's not about, okay, I have to go and do this by this certain time, or I have to hit this certain numbers, but think about your body, right? Think about what you're actually capable of doing. You can push yourself a little bit further than you think possible. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another great example of showing yourself grace, because you can't be on every single time you get out there or in every single workout or really anytime you do anything, right? You're not going to have your best day of work every single day you log on. You're not going to have your best workout every single day in the gym. And like I said, when I had that 6 mile run, I just felt sad, just discouraged and incapable and weak. And how am I going to do twice as long? But I think you just need to show yourself grace and take the next step forward.
you're so inspiring.
Thanks.
You really are. Would love to just go a little bit into just the whole race day experience. Again, I talked about this last week and I just want to kind of jump into it more with you. Talked a little bit about just the numbers of everything, things that I've struggled with, thinking that, okay, I have to finish in this certain time, or like I have to do it like this, or I have to do it like that. And then it was such an honor to be able to be part of this first half marathon with you. And it's like you really, really showed me what it's like to show up and really just take in the entire experience, every single minute of it. I mean, we know what happened. It was 2:30 in the morning. I had a pounding headache and I'm like,
oh yeah, it was an early morning. We got up just so early. And, it was tough for me too, because I was coming from Pittsburgh. I'm flying into Sarasota to see Ashley. And my brain is immediately like, I'm on vacation. Let's get some drinks. Let's eat some good food. I'm so not in the race mindset at that point. I'm just like happy to be with my cousin, having fun. It was January, so I was just stoked to get away from Pittsburgh winter and step into the Florida sunshine. And we get back to our hotel super early the night before, but of course the nerves are just keeping us up. And we get up. I don't even remember, Ashley. It was like 2:30 or something. I mean, it was early that we got up to head to Epcot. And as Ashley mentioned in her last podcast, again, my first half marathon, so I am signing us up, filling out all the registration information. And I just don't even think to put in a estimated time of completion for us. And I think even in the back of my head, I was like, you know what? I'm not fast anyway. I'm just doing this to finish. So I don't even need to put this in. And don't get me wrong, completing a half marathon, no matter how fast you're moving, is such an accomplishment. But I don't think I realized just how slow could be. We are in the very back and we get started. And like Ashley said in our last podcast, it's the Disney people. So they're there just, stopping every few feet. The, what do you call it? Is it called what do you call like the track? It's not called a track. What do you call it?
The course?
The course. Yeah, the course is really narrow too. So it really felt like you couldn't move more than like 10 feet without having to really kind of dodge a crowd of people. There were families arguably like holding hands, walking through.
I literally remember looking at you being like, what are we doing?
I know, but I think we definitely had to have a little shift of mindset. I was a little disappointed at first because I was like, I mean, I trained for this, I've been doing this for a few months. I'm running every weekend and this is really kind of messing up my flow right now. But we had a kind of a change of mindset. We ran where we could. I mean, we ran the whole time, but really did just have the best time ever, getting to just like run through Magic Kingdom and seeing the castle. And there was just such great energy. And I just reflect on it so fondly. It was still really, really challenging. I remember in that last mile, just thinking there's one more mile, but I can't do it. I can't go any further. And again, Ashley's like literally running backwards, cheering me on, saying we only have a little bit further. And crossing that finish line was just like the best feeling in the world. And getting to do it together was just so special. And poor Ashley, I fell asleep in the car immediately on our way home to Sarasota. So she just had that drive all by herself.
I could get some of that Disney candy though,
Yeah. Oh yeah. We definitely indulged after the race, and what a great place to do it. Just full of ice cream and cookies and all the snacks. So it was so wonderful. It was truly the best day and just such a great reward. And I just am so grateful that I got to experience that with you.
Me too. I really am. To be able to actually cross the finish line hand in hand was so special to me, and going through something alongside each other, encouraging each other, lifting each other up. There's nothing that can compare to that. And so that's what I want to hold on to. That's what I know moving forward. Let's not miss it. Let's not miss the people that are around us. Let's not miss the environment that we're in. There's so much beauty in it all. Pursuing the process, enjoying the course. That's what really matters. And you inspire me in so many ways in my own fitness journey. And you've taught me so much more than you really realize. And so I
am tearing up over here. Thank you. No, it really was the best day. And, just I think life gets in the way. And, there was a time period where we weren't particularly close, and just having the opportunity to kind of reconnect in college and as adults, and learning that, we share so many of the same interests and ambitions. It was just so special to get to do that with you.
Let's do it again. Where are we going next?
Where are we going next?
Oh my gosh, so much fun. So much fun. I love it. Thank you so much for diving into this with me here. You're going to impact people more than you realize just by sharing, and that's the power in it. So thank you for doing that. And before we wrap up, any encouragement that you would have to others that just maybe struggling with, body image or comparison, or just getting, even getting started on their own fitness journey, or maybe have this kind of dream or a goal that they'd want to go after, but something's holding them back? What would your encouragement be to them?
Yeah, for sure. So I think it's important to cut to the chase. Yes, all bodies are beautiful. You should love yourself, la di da. But like, what does that really mean? And how do we actually practice that? Because I don't know about you, but it's not really just a conscious decision I can make. I don't just wake up in the morning and say, yeah, I'm going to love myself today. But what I think is important is to ask yourself how you want to feel, what your priorities are, and finding that balance, which again is way harder than it sounds. But I think continuing to ask these questions is really just the best practice. And more important than anything, as hard as it can be, you just have to show yourself grace and be prepared to continue moving forward and continue taking that next step, even when you've had a setback.
That's it. This is how we build endurance to keep going, is by keep showing up and keep showing yourself grace in the process of it all. So thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I'm so glad that we could do this together. It really means a lot to me.
So much fun. Thank you so much. I miss you. I can't wait to see you soon.